welcome to the By Intent podcast with me, Raki. We have an incredible guest today, Chien-Chi Huang. Chien-Chi is the founder and executive director of Asian Women for Health. Now, Asian Women for Health is a peer-led, community-based network that is dedicated to advancing Asian women's health and well-being through education, advocacy, and support in order to overcome both individual, community-wide, and systemic barriers that affect Asian women and their loved ones. What incredible work you're doing, Chien-Chi. A very, very warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Rocky. Thank you for having me. As an immigrant from Taiwan, I feel incredibly honored to be on your show.
Oh, no, thank you so much for your time. We know how busy you are. So we do appreciate, giving us a little bit of your time. And I think we'll jump straight into the question everybody probably has, which is, tell us a little bit about your organization. And I think how did it come about to even be? How did you notice a need for this type of support?
Mm-hmm. So as I mentioned, I'm an immigrant from Taiwan. And when I first came to this country, I was an international student and I could barely carry a conversation in English. And when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I just turned 40 years old. And although my husband can speak English, we still have a very difficult time to navigate the US healthcare system. And I noticed that whenever I go to the support group or the waiting room, I was always the only Asian in the room. So I have this desire. I wanted to look for other Asian women who look like me, feel like me, and think like me, so I can, share my experience and also to share, and support each other. So when I was in cancer treatment, I did some research and I was shocked to learn that while the breast cancer rate is going down for all populations, it's actually going up for Asian Americans. And also we see that younger and younger Asian women were diagnosed with breast cancer. And this is not just a US phenomena, it's a worldwide phenomena. So, and like I said, many Asian women having a hard time to get the support and care they need because of cultural and linguistic barrier. So I decided to start a support group, and I wanted to. So I went to the media outlet and I did an interview with them like this, and I expressed my desire to form a group to inspire and encourage other Asian cancer survivor to step forward and to share their story. And so we started with 4 or 5 women, and then we grew to become a network of 50 some Asian women, and who are all supporting each other.
Yeah, that's incredible. Wow, I'm so shocked to hear about that statistic. And it's, that's scary. And I've never heard that before. And we should know this, as communities and society, right? Which just again shows, I think there isn't a balanced, even reporting of certain issues, etc., in our communities and in society. And, that's one of the challenges. So I think, yeah, incredible to really work around this cause and to even be thinking and really thinking ahead so much in terms of this. What are some of the reasons? I mean, I'm kind of going a little bit away from the initial question, but I'm so startled by that statistic. Why is it so different for the Asian community? Is there a reason behind it? Why numbers are going up for things like breast cancer?
Right. I think that there still needs to be, research to look into this. But based on my personal experience and by talking with other cancer patients, I noticed that a lot of the Asian women, they, before their diagnosis, they all encounter some kind of major setback in their lives. And so I'm a true believer in the mind-body connection. And so, it's very important that people, especially cancer patients, to be in an environment that they feel that they're not alone. So we we have been doing monthly events so we can provide people a safe and nurturing environment so they can support one another. And the other issues about is unique for Asian population is that um, we, Asian women don't have the concept of prevention. So we usually don't go see the doctor
Mhm.
unless we're really sick. We become really sick, and so that's another area that we're trying to educate the community to make sure that they know the importance of keeping their mammogram, their pap smear test, because if they're not well, they cannot take care of other people.
Yeah, absolutely. That really hits home, and it hits home for me personally because I lost my mom to cancer a
Mm,
few years back, and she was in her late 60s
mm,
and very, very healthy. She's never had any health issues. So it was very sudden. And I think for her, it was spurred from emotional pain and loss because I
mm,
lost my dad a few years earlier. And,
mm.
I think my mom sat with those emotions and didn't
Yes.
come from a generation
Hmm.
that spoke about these things, right, or would go
Right.
to therapy and needed a different sort of intervention.
Hmm.
Um, so I think what you're doing is so important, and I think that correlation, like you said, the mind body, because I'm almost certain for my mom there was a little bit of that happening there because physically she was in great shape,
Right.
very active, she ate very clean. um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're doing really incredible work. And in terms of the actual sort of support of what you guys do, tell us a little bit about that. I know it's a bit of education, there's
Hmm.
advocacy as well. Yeah, what does it look like to support the community?
Right. So, for example, we notice that there are a lot of misinformation out there, and again, because the language and cultural, differences, many Asian women were mistreated and misinformed. So, for example, when we're out there doing community education outreach, we found that some Asian women think that breast cancer is a white woman's disease, and or some people think that, oh, because we have smaller breasts, so it won't happen to us. Or people think that mammogram actually will cause cancer instead of detecting cancer. So we have to do a lot of education to let people know that no, the radiation started in the mammogram is even lower dosage than your the radiation you'll get from flying from Boston to California. So, that kind of thing that, we need to try to debunk some of the myths out there.
Yeah, yeah. And I know there's a bit of like advocacy work as well, and partnering with other organizations. And is there stuff that's being done on, from that perspective, on a broader scale in partnership to change that
Mhm.
as well?
Right. So another important things that we are doing and is that we try to get people to be more familiar about their body and to be able to speak up for themselves. Because I know several Asian cancer survivor, they actually feel the lump themselves. So although right now the American Prevention Task Force don't recommend this, that we teach the self-exam procedure, but I think it's important that, everybody is familiar with your own body, because, and it's very important because uh, if you wait until you reach age 40, or 45 to get the mammogram, you might miss a opportunity that you will be able to catch the tumor, feel the tumor early. And so our recommendation is that whenever you feel the difference in your breast, you should always let your provider know and talk to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, so important. I mean, it's sending me reminders as well because I think we, I mean, as much as we know about breast cancer, there's so much we don't know,
Mm,
and there's so many things competing for our attention that I think as women we sort of we don't give it enough attention,
Mm-hmm.
especially as you're getting older. So I think that's a really valuable thing to sort of keep in mind as women, as we move into our 40s as well. I know as a 30-year-old something, it's something I take a little bit for granted, and you're
Right.
giving me a reminder as well to like really
Mm,
check in on that and take that seriously.
right.
um who and in terms of who the support is for, because I think that's the other challenge is, while a lot of these issues they're widespread, I think all of us can relate on some level, um, but of course there's then social disparity and social status and low income and
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, who exactly do you guys help? Specific groups? Do you help work with specific
Mm-hmm.
groups who might be more in need?
Right. So our priority uh, constituencies are under-resourced, underserved Asian women. And so I live in Boston, and the largest two Asian ethnic groups is the Chinese, followed by the Vietnamese. So we have developed, outreach materials in those languages, and we also train Asian women, bilingual, bicultural Asian women who are able to teach breast health, cervical health education. And we partner with different Asian serving agencies and Asian women's group to do this kind of education and outreach. And we find that it's important to uh, do the education even for women who are below age 40, because like I mentioned, we're seeing younger and younger Asian women being diagnosed. And also Asian women tend to have denser breast tissue. So that present a challenge because sometimes the regular mammogram were not able to detect the tumor. So we wanted to raise people's awareness and get them to feel comfortable about feeling their own body and talking about it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Again, just these little nuggets of wisdom, things we don't know. So I think really important to serve those groups as well, who are just so often, unfortunately, not catered for in
Mhm.
society. So I think that's amazing. And kind of shifting a little bit then towards mental health
Mm,
and a little bit more around mental health issues, which are just skyrocketing for everybody, and then I think very topical, of course, right now, and what's been horrific certainly in the United States, is all the hate and the violence against the Asian community, which
mhm.
it's shocking, it's really scary. Are you working within that space? What's been happening in that realm, and how is the Asian community doing, and how can everybody help during
Mhm.
this time?
Thank you. These are really great questions. Yes, I mean, since the pandemic, I've noticed that many Asian women in our community, were really, really um, scared and upset, and also many people feel depressed and isolated. And again, people are longing for the human connection during this time. And so I actually personally encountered a verbal attack on the subway in Boston. And as a result, I reached out to an animation studio, and together we produced a 60-second PSA called "Racism is a Virus," and we also developed a discussion guide. So we encourage people to screen this PSA and use it as a conversation starter, so they can have a conversation. And we also hold like events for collective healing. And because these events are horrific, and it really shaken our community members to the core. And we need to find a way to help people to process these different emotions. And mental health is something that it's a taboo in our community. We rarely talk about it. But I think that the recent murders in Atlanta really it kind of like a wake up call for our community. So we recognize that now is the time for Asian women to be more visible and to be more vocal, because traditionally we have been highly sexualized and objectified. We are invisible and we were stereotyped, to be, this either this dismissive, figure, or a not a submissive figure, or like the dragon lady, or very exotic. So we are trying to work with different Asian women's group to do collaborative event, so we can hold the space for each other, so we can help people, process their emotions, and to seek professional help if they need.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, you touched on so much of importance there again, these stereotypes, these biases that are so embedded in society that we have to start ripping apart, because we can see the harm that it's causing.
Right.
It's been really scary to see what's happening,
Mm,
in the United States,
right.
and very sad. And I think, like I sort of, I asked earlier, changing how in what way can all of us play a part? Because we have to now, we really have to change things in the world.
Hmm.
Um, and I know it's a big question,
Right.
but
Yeah.
how
So
do we all play a part?
yeah, I think it's a really good question. And I think that the thing to do is just, you know, uh, take care of yourself first. I mean, I think you all heard about the analogy that if you're on the airplane, if there's a crisis, you have to put an oxygen mask on yourself first, because, if you're not well, you're no use to serve other people. So first of all, take care of yourself. And then second of all, I think that you just work from where you are and do what you can. So, so for me, our organization have the capacity to do virtual events. And like I said, we have developed and curated several mental health resources, and also anti-Asian resources on our website. So we use social media and our monthly newsletter to promote these resources, and to encourage people to come to our free virtual events. And because I think, again, this time, I think to have a sense of a belonging or community is extremely important. And we need to learn how to speak up and how to show up for each other, and not just for other Asian women, but also for our Black and brown brothers and sisters.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We're going to need that solidarity to survive the attacks against all of our communities, because it's really nothing less than that that's happening right now.
Hmm.
And I'm so sorry that, just having met you even, and knowing that you had to have this verbal attack, it's very disheartening. And I'm
Mm,
really, I'm sorry about that. And yet your incredible resilience and who
thank
you
you.
are, and how you turned that into a PSA and partnership, I mean, that's pretty remarkable. And kind of shifting then to your personal story. And I wanted people to hear a little bit about who you are, and what led you to this work, and how you do it, because this is not easy work. um,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, tell us about your story.
So I think I'm one of those people that um, I kind of embody life is what happened for you, not just to you. So I think that the reason why I got cancer is, it's the signal from the universe to tell me that this is the kind of work that I'm bound to do, and that's my calling. So when I first started, I just feel like I have this burning desire. I wanted to talk to every single Asian woman I saw on the street, to let them know that, they need to do a better job to know about breast health and get their mammogram. So there was a time when I would be like, passing out brochures and flyers with all the, we have a Asian breast cancer fact sheet where you can find on our website. I would just like print out a bunch of them and I would just pass it out to any Asian woman I see on the street, on the subway, on the, farmer's market. And that's how I guess, slowly grow our community. Yeah, I guess I can really relate to that commercial where the person said, I'm not only the client, I'm also the user. I'm not only the founder, but I'm also the client. So
Yeah.
that's how I feel is that, because I couldn't find the kind of services or product that I want. So I feel like I'm the one I have to create this. Yeah. And I really don't want other people to went through what I went through because during my cancer journey, I actually have a drug-induced psychotic manic episode. Uh, and that's why mental health is a very, uh, it's a very, it's an issue that I feel very passionate about. Yeah. Um, yeah. So a couple of years ago, we have worked with several other agencies to create a mental health resource website. It's called Together Empowering Asian Mind. And we have an open call that we invite people to send their videos in any creative format to share their stories. And it was very successful because we're hoping to destigmatize mental health and to get people to normalize the action to seek help. So yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that's and I loved what you said about, your journey. And I think you said life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us.
Mhm.
And I think that's such a powerful framing that I think we have to take, for any difficult circumstances we encounter and make what we should of it. So I think it's incredible. And I think it's very clear to see. I even said this to my husband last night. I just asked this question. I was like, I wonder what enables someone like yourself and people who are doing the kind of work you're doing in the world to like push forward and do this sort of work.
Mhm.
And I was like, it must be your calling. Like it has to be such a greater purpose,
Mhm.
because it is challenging. And what would you say is challenging about the nature of the work that you're doing? Some of the things that need to change to even enable you to do your work more effectively.
Mhm.
What needs to what needs to
Yeah.
happen?
So I think the most difficult part is to actually to raise funds to sustain the organization, because you just can't rely on volunteers, to do everything. You have to have staff and you have to, have resources so you can do events, so you can provide support. So, and that's the part that I really, at the beginning, I really feel shy about, and I don't know how to do that because I don't have any experience running a nonprofit and don't have any experience doing fundraising. But I I consider myself a very creative person. And so every year we have a benefit fashion show called Celebrations, and we so we use it as a fundraiser but also as a community engagement tool. So we have survivors serve as a model, and we reach out to different companies or Asian fashion designers, and they provide the outfit for the models, and we were able to do that for, I think this is the ninth year now. Yeah, we did that since uh, 2013. And yeah, so the event is very uplifting, and people love to hear the stories that the models share. And they got to, show, showcase themselves, modeling different outfits. So people
I
had a
love.
great fun. Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's amazing. And yeah, that is so creative, and such a smart way to kind of do that. So, that's terrific. And you're right about funds. And is there any way, even, outside of, and I'm just thinking even about any groups I'm exposed to speaking about this, to anybody listening, um, yeah, how do we channel funds? Is there a way to donate on the website?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
the
On our
contact?
website, there's a donate button, and you can also be a sustaining donor. You can do it quarterly or monthly, so it's not so much a burden to you. And I wanted to say a big thank you to everybody who supported us, especially since the pandemic. Yeah, we've actually seen our donations have increased, and I'm very grateful for the support that we receive from the community, and we will continue to do our work and to look for opportunity to uh, combat combat racism, and also to collaborate with other uh, women of color community.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we're getting close to kind of wrapping up. Just sort of as a final question, what makes you, Chien-Chi, what makes you so resilient, so positive, so grounded,
Mhm.
and so really able to, I think, lift and carry others? What qualities do you think, or what has shaped you to be this sort of person?
Mhm. Well, I think it took me years to get to where I am right now. And one key lesson I learned is that, to be grateful for everything, because yeah, if you look at every challenges as a opportunity to grow, I think that, you will, yeah, you will have a easier way to stay up even when you're down. Yeah, and I think it's very difficult for Asian women to practice self-care, and it's really, I think that's the basis and the source for resiliency, is that you need to take care of yourself, because uh, you wanted to give the best of yourself to the world, not what's left over. So that's something. If there's any one message I wanted to share with your audience, is that self care is essential. It's actually something that you need to cultivate. You need to be a role model for your daughters, for your granddaughter, to show them how, like, practicing self care is not a selfish act. It's crucial. It's essential for our being. And yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much. That's such an important message. We take it for granted, as we grow into roles, wife, mother, even beyond, even as a daughter. We are nurturers, and self care is a continuous issue. And I think we never think of it as linked to resiliency. And yet that's so powerful the way you framed it. So thank you so much. That was incredible. Chenji will share, we'll get you to share the website details and that in a bit. But before that, are there any other closing thoughts, anything else you'd like to share with us or the audience today?
Um, I think that just believe in yourself. Like I said, I'm an immigrant from Taiwan. I never thought that I would start a nonprofit organization and run it, and grow it to have actually staff other than myself. So I think that, if you believe in yourself, if you put your thoughts into the universe will respond to you, and you just speak to its to its existence.
Yeah. Amazing, incredible. Thank you so much, Chien-Chi. And the website, I will link all the details, to the description for this episode. But do you want to just kind of spell out the website, or any place people
Sure.
can find you, Instagram, anything you'd like?
Sure. Our website is www.asianwomenforhealth.org. And the IG handle, I believe, is at AW4Health. We have Facebook page. The Asian Breast Cancer Project actually have its own Facebook page. So please like us, join us, and share with us your story and connect with us.
Excellent. I will link all of those details below and make sure everybody has access to that. Thank you again, Chien-Chi. It was so amazing to have such a beautiful conversation and have your beautiful energy and your light and, share that with us and so many people with the work that you're doing. So I'm very, very humble. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, to everybody who's listening, thank you for being here as always. And I will catch you again on next week's episode. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.